I'm much better now that the ladies are back from space.
What were they up there, 10 minutes?
It's so cringy. Look at us, we're very wealthy. Don't we look great? Admire us.
Well, yeah, and I also think it's fun to see somebody who has no self-awareness.
Yeah.
They're always the most fun.
Katy Perry is having a major meltdown after Joe Rogan completely tore apart her space trip of the century on his show.
Along with PR experts who are claiming singer may face career extinction.
Apparently, spending 10 minutes floating in Jeff Bezos' overpriced tin can now count as a historic achievement. And to top off the cringe, she landed, kissed the ground, and acted like she just survived Interstellar.
She essentially took a roller coaster ride.
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru.
I know you've got to be laughing out loud at how ridiculous this is, and trust me, hearing the full story, that's a whole new level of absurd.
The 11-minute space flight that was touted as some kind of divine feminine gift to humanity.
That was one small step for womankind, one giant leap backwards for mankind.
So here's what went down. Katy Perry actually went to space. Yeah, real outer space. Well, kind of. Technically, she floated for about 11 minutes just above Earth's atmosphere in Jeff Bezos' glorified soda can, also known as Blue Origin. But oh no, don't you dare call it a ride. She's calling it the experience of a lifetime.
Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, no one called that a
You're
ride.
eligible.
It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous.
I thought it was condescending. It was belittling to women.
Lots of other people in the media were embarrassing themselves during this ordeal. Oprah Winfrey actually wept as she watched the all-female team launch into space.
According to Katy and her PR dream team, this was a life-altering, emotional, boundary-breaking journey. A full-blown spiritual awakening packed into less time than a bad music video. She came back to Earth like she just had tea with aliens, dropped to her knees, and kissed the Texas dirt like she'd returned from war. The drama? Olympic level.
To going up, you said that you needed to go to space to heal. I know you're only a few minutes removed from this.
I feel super connected to love. I will never be the same.
You'd think she went to Mars the way she's talking about it. She actually said it was the second most powerful experience of her life, after giving birth. Not performing for millions, not building a chart-topping career. Nope, this was it. 11 minutes of floating in a billionaire's capsule, and suddenly Katy thinks she's the Dalai Lama in a spacesuit. And of course, every camera angle was flawlessly staged, every word delivered like it was pulled straight from a branded script.
I've had so many people reach out to me and say, because you did it, it makes me think I can do it too.
You know, she said she's heard from women and girls who have said to her, I didn't realize this is something I could do. You know how I know that didn't happen, Megan? It's not something they could do. They're not friends with Jeff Bezos, right? Like,
But then, best part, she wasn't even alone. Gayle King was there, and so was Lauren Cinch's Aka. Jeff Bezos' fiancée, front and center like it was some kind of bridal shower in orbit. They branded it as this historic all-female flight, going full throttle on the empowered women empowering women shtick, just with more zero gravity and a whole lot less substance.
Let's not minimize this. Let's celebrate female astronauts.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts. Let's not minimize.
And while it could have been a genuine moment for female astronauts and scientists, it somehow morphed into 3 rich women floating around with metaphors and makeup. Katy even brought a flower, a literal daisy, for resilience, like the universe had been holding its breath, just waiting for her to sprinkle deep meaning across the stars. Daisy in hand and designer boots on.
their message for women was take up space. You guys are taking up too much space already.
And here's the real joke. Nothing happened. No experiments, no challenges, nothing even remotely astronaut-y. It was basically a glorified elevator ride to space and back. But the way Katy talked about Earth, love, and her spiritual awakening, you'd think she just solved climate change and unlocked the secrets of the universe.
Olivia Wilde reposted an image of Katy Perry kissing the ground. She was acting like she got back from Apollo 13.
So much money to go to space. Yeah. There's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down?
Like, girl, you floated for 10 minutes and came back with a monologue. That's not spiritual growth. That's PR desperation. And the internet? It smelled it from a mile away. People weren't inspired. They felt insulted. But nope, she kept doubling down. In the end, it flopped harder than her last 2 albums combined.
Last second, he added me. I'm bringing you this. It was in my bag, and I was like on the subway, and I got the text, and they were like, "Do you want to go to space?" So
The memes exploded. People roasted the whole kiss the ground stunt, and even Joe Rogan jumped in, completely wrecking it and calling out the absurdity like it was some sort of performance art. Let's be real. This wasn't about science, space, or women in STEM. It was Katy Perry trying to pull off a soft rebrand in zero gravity, hoping people would forget her music hasn't hit in years and that no one's really checking for her unless she's dressed as a talking mushroom on TV.
Martha Stewart, God bless Martha Stewart. She posted something online because she went up in a flight that achieved zero gravity.
I boarded a Boeing 727 aircraft called G-Force One and experienced what astronauts feel when they reach zero gravity.
She wanted a comeback moment, but instead, she got a cringe compilation. I swear, Joe Rogan didn't just comment on Katy Perry's space adventure. He full-on scalped it with the calm precision of someone slicing through a birthday cake labeled delusional. Sitting across from Tim Dillon, the man didn't even flinch. His reaction? Not outrage, just pure disbelief.
Gayle King, upset, had a few things that she needed to explain to those of us who don't understand what a hero she is.
And then came the deadpan question that ripped the glittery wrapping paper right off the stunt. What were her findings? Joe zeroed in on that with the precision of a man who's watched one too many TED talks. He called it what it was, a dead daisy, snipped from its life source. So basically, not a symbol of resilience, but the opposite, a withered metaphor clutched by a pop star pretending she just reinvented astronautics.
There's nothing frivolous about what we did. Let's see how it went on board the Blue Origin spacecraft.
I got you.
Her Daisy.
I got you, Glenn.
And then came the unspoken slap, the comparison between Perry and actual astronauts. Joe didn't even need to say cosplay. You could see it written all over his face. Real astronauts go through brutal training, take real risks, operate real tech, and face the very real possibility of not coming back. Katy? She floated around in a luxury capsule that ran on autopilot and landed safely like an Amazon Prime package. No buttons were pushed, no systems were managed, just vibes, cameras, and spiritual babble.
They've gone next level. The montage of them about them.
There, it's dark. It's like death. And I'm so proud of us. I really am proud of me.
Flowers for me. I brought a daisy because I have so much love for my daughter Daisy, and I have so much love for Mother Earth.
And the reason it stung so badly is because Joe wasn't even angry. He was just confused. Genuinely baffled by the idea that billionaires and fading pop stars can repackage a luxury experience and try to pass it off as some feminist milestone. And what made his critique hit even harder? He was right. It's not the hate that hurts, it's the accuracy.
If I can do this, I was telling these guys, I might even now get my ears pierced. I've never gotten my ears pierced because that hurt.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
But then it got worse. Just as the memes were settling in and the mockery was hitting full stride, the FAA showed up like a reality check, with receipts. They officially said what we were all thinking. Katy Perry is not an astronaut, neither is Gayle King, and definitely not Lauren Sanchez. According to the FAA, you only earn that title if you perform safety-critical tasks during the flight.
None of the people in this capsule could actually operate anything. It was all being remotely controlled. So it was cool. They took a very, very expensive, very, very cool roller coaster ride.
That announcement, brutal. Not because it was mean, but because it was so coldly factual. It cut right through all the space-themed empowerment speeches and glittery post-flight monologues. None of them were responsible for anything. The rocket flew itself. They were just there, which meant everything from Katy's emotional speeches to her astronaut girly crew hashtag was based on a title she never earned. And of course, the internet, being the savage beast it is, pounced immediately.
Lauren Sanchez was also reduced to tears by the experience.
6 women just did the same flight that.
Yeah. I just want to keep hugging you. We duplicated the trajectory of Alan Shepard's flight back in the...
People tore the whole thing apart. Taken up space crew, more like taken up screen time. Katy called them her astronaut sisters, like they'd trained in Houston and solved orbital physics together. In reality, they got glammed up, posed for the capsule cam, and floated for a few minutes like rich influencers pretending to be astronauts. Kids at a luxury retreat.
In case you didn't know, Alan Shepard is famous because he was the first American to go to space in 1961. So we don't celebrate the people who do it as on a tourist trip 60 years later. We celebrate the people who were the first to do it. Gail doesn't want us to say that she took a ride, but that is in fact what she did. She took a ride on a remotely piloted craft. Anyone who denies my achievement is sexist.
And the word astronaut isn't just some Instagram caption. It means something. It carries weight. It's about risk, sacrifice, and actual contribution, not metaphors and flower props. So when the FAA drew the line, it wasn't just a technicality, it was a mic drop. It reminded everyone that if the title applies to everyone, then it means nothing. Katy Perry borrowing that title without doing the work didn't inspire people. It insulted them.
Earth looked so... It was so quiet. It was just quiet.
And now we're supposed to celebrate her crossing new barriers for women, meaning boinking a billionaire and getting a free ticket to space for 11 minutes.
And no, the internet, they had a field day. Comment sections exploded with jokes. People started calling the crew space tourists in Guffsy. Some even compared the whole thing to Disney's Soarin' ride, just with more hashtags and better cameras. Others crowned Katy as the world's first zero-G influencer. But it didn't matter how many heartfelt captions or tearful interviews followed. The narrative had already shifted. No one was buying the pioneer pitch anymore because you can't fake legacy. And you sure as hell can't earn it from inside a remote-controlled capsule.
They got in their special Oscar de la Renta designed suits, laid down in a capsule, and came back in 10 minutes, you guys.
Social media didn't just react to Katy Perry's Blue Origin flight. It incinerated it. The backlash wasn't organized or calculated. It was instinctual, natural, like the internet collectively saw through the glitter and zero-gravity hair flips and went, nope, we're not doing this today.
They admired the universe, and what they were expecting was for us to admire the fact that they were rich enough and famous enough to have been granted this utterly, utterly vacuous experience from which they learned absolutely nothing.
This right here is the moment that they've been training for. 2 days, becoming a crew, becoming a team.
But the training, it all comes down to literally they learned how to buckle their seatbelt.